Hello, everyone, and welcome to our day 3 preview, where once again I'm joined by Izzy Phillips and Katie Midwinter, as we'll be previewing all the action for the third day of the Cheltenham Festival. We'll be previewing all the Grade 1s along with our other fancies for the day. And the first race we're going to be looking at is the Turners Novices Chase. It's a Grade 1, and Great Dawning is your favourite, top of the betting for the Skeltons at 5-2. We then get Gaelic Warrior next in at 3-1, Ginny's Destiny at 100-30, Facile Vega at 7-2, Aroka at 5-1. Bigger are the rest. Izzy, I'll come to you here first. Great Dawning, interested in that the Skeltons have decided to go here, isn't it? Dropping him back down in trip, probably because of the soft ground. Do we think he's got a very good chance, especially of reversing that form of Jenny's Destiny from their
I think he's got a very good chance of reversing that form, isn't he? Like, really, it was the jumping that let him down in the moment. But the Skeltons are back on a 20% strike rate. I know Liz really likes Grey Dawning for this race. I don't have a massive sort of fancy in the race, to be completely honest with you. I quite like Grey Dawning. I've kind of listened to what Liz has been saying on some other podcasts, and I'm kind of buying into why she likes him so much. But I know Katie's about to put one up that I kind of agree with also. So someone in our usual podcast is going to get the winner of this race. That's my only certainty. But yeah, so no massive fancies for me. I'm going to let Katie talk about the next one rather than stealing the show.
Go on then, Katie.
Yeah, my nap of the day is Facile Vega. I've been wanting him to be up in trip all season. I think it's key to him. He doesn't have that speed over 2 miles an hour as a chaser. He isn't as slick over his fences, and he's just getting found out in the top group of Grade 1 races. But I think this step up in trip is going to make all of the difference. He's a top quality horse, as we've seen in the past. Champion bumper winner, second in the Supreme. He's a fantastic horse on his day. He's got a great pedigree. I think Willie Mullins is a big fan of the horse as well. Clearly loved his dam. So I think you really want to see him win at the festival once again. I just think he's got a great chance. I really do respect Grey Dawning, though. I wouldn't fancy him as much over 3 miles, but I think over this trip he's going to have a very good chance. He's a horse I like a lot, but I just think Facile Vega has got a bit more class, and I think he'll take all of the beating.
Okay, Facile Vega, I'm kind of with you. I think I'm ready for him to take step up and trip. And I bet you were delighted this morning that he wasn't declared for the Arkle as well. Yeah. So it means that he can only run here. So fingers crossed that he does get declared. And yeah, I think he would definitely have a live chance. I think this is the best novice chase actually at this year's festival. I think there's definitely a few in here that you wouldn't be at all surprised if they won. I think Grey Dawning is a likeable horse. Quite a lot of people like him. I quite like him as well. Ginny's Destiny, you can hang your hat on him. You know, he's very solid. Pretty much a stage star 2.0. It looks like plenty of course and distance form, and he's probably likely to be running forward. Aroko is interesting as well. Won at Warwick. There's some good form next to that when he won. Festival winner as well. One horse as well that I wouldn't even totally write him off at an each way price. Is Zana here? I heard quite a compelling case for him on preview I was on by Mark Boylan, and he's quite keen on his chances to run a good race each way. He was about 25-1 there, now been nibbled into 20s, but on some of his form from last season as a hurdler behind the likes of Constitution Hill, Bob Ollinger, State Man, you know, like run against some top horses, always fallen a little bit short, but has been getting the hang of things over fences. Won well the last day at Thurles. I just think at a double figure price, you know, if the race was to fall apart and he can build on his hurdles form, you know, he could definitely throw his hat into the ring at a big old price each way.
It's a bit of a shame for him that he isn't in the champion hurdle this year. He'd have a good chance of second.
Yeah, he probably would. He probably would. Definitely making the frame at least, but yeah, I think he's got a bit more to come over fences, and I like the way that he won last time out at Thurles. I think he'll probably found it a little bit too sharp that day as well when he beat Aspire Tower, and the step up and trip here would really suit him. It's his only entry at the festival, so if he is going to run it, he'll definitely have to turn up. So yeah, I think Zana here isn't completely out there and isn't a forlorn hope, but I think there's so many in here that you can make a case for, and you wouldn't be at all surprised to see him win. We're now going to move on to the next race. The next Grade 1 is the Ryanair Chase 250. El Fabiolo is your favourite at 7-4, but he won't be running here. We then got Banbridge next in at 3-1. Envoy LN Last year's winner at 7-2. Stage start 4-1. Capodanno 8s. Conflated 8s. Bigger are the rest. Now, I'm going to come to you here first, Katie. Banbridge is probably going to be the favourite if the ground comes in his favour. Would we be with him if the ground is good?
If it would be good ground, I probably would, but I can't see it being good ground. I think it's going to be good to soft at best and probably on the softer side, if that. I think he's a very good horse, but I don't think he's going to get his ground, so I'm looking elsewhere. I think Envoy Land, the reigning champion, he was brilliant in the race last year. I think he's going to have a good chance, but he's maybe a little bit short for me now. I thought that Conflated was quite a big price. I think he's got a lot of class. He's been finishing tired recently in these races over 3 miles plus, but he does stay that trip. I'm just not sure he stays it well enough now. So this drop back in trip, it could suit him. I think he's got a lot of class, and he could use his stamina later on, especially if the ground is testing. So I think he's got an excellent chance. And then we've got Hoy Senior, a much bigger price, who didn't run his race at all last time at Ascot. Pic D'Orhy was able to get an easy lead that occasion. Harry Cobden stole a few lengths and went on to win in impressive fashion, but I don't think the two in behind were at the races at all on that day. Now, Hoy Senior, his jumping is always a concern because he's an erratic jumper. He's never going to be foot perfect over his fences, but I thought he was much better in the Cotswold Chase before the stirrup broke, and I think he can run a big race if he can get into that rhythm out in front, really use his stamina to good effect. I think he could have a good chance. So I'd be probably with Conflated and Hoy Senior at the prices.
Okay, a few then big prices from Katie in the Ryanair. How about you, Izzy? I know you're Banbridge's, or one of his number one fans at least anyway.
Yeah, I think if it does dry out, which it does look as if the rain isn't really there, it's a fairly dry rest of the week. So it's just how much that ground dries out. If it is that kind of good to soft, I think he'll run. And if he runs on good to soft, he wins, because I think he's so much better than this field. I think personally his closest rival would likely be Stage Star. I think you can put a line through that last run on heavy ground, where he was pulled up. We know he fights and battles to get the lead. Obviously, Katie's already mentioned that form that Banbridge has with Pic D'Orhy. Put Pic D'Orhy away easily enough, and then Pic D'Orhy was, for all intents and purposes, the only horse at the races that day at Ascot, but still pretty good looking form, if you ask me, in terms of looking at Banbridge. We know Banbridge likes Cheltenham. I think it was a mistake that he missed Cheltenham last year. I can say that now in hindsight because he went and won his next race, but I still would have loved to seen him. I think, he has got some form on soft, albeit, that Joseph O'Brien clearly knows the horse a lot better than me and has probably determined through running him a few times what he likes and dislikes, and perhaps more so likes the good to soft or good ground. But I think that he's a very impressive horse. He's a horse I've got a lot of time for. If he doesn't run at Cheltenham, I'll be lumping on whatever race he goes in at Aintree. But my hope and prayer is that he stays in and that he wins this, and I think he will.
Yeah, is he be hoping then the rain gods stay away? I think if the ground is in his favour, he's the one they've all got to beat. One horse I'm going to give a huge mention here, and I know Katie's probably going to be cringing because she knows what horse I'm going to put up here. But the one horse that I do think is overpriced and has been a little bit overlooked in the market is Hitman. Now, he is a bit of a horse that disappointed quite a few, it's fair to say, in his career. But last time out in the Denman Chase behind Shishkin, at one point, if you go back and watch the replay in that race, you're thinking, hello, what's going on here? He's absolutely cruising. And it was just after the second last, he just didn't have the kick of Shishkin. We know Shishkin has an amazing turn of foot and battles really hard. He's probably not the most hardy horse in a finish, but I thought that was a hell of an effort that day. Considering that Paul Nicholls said he would take a massive step forward from his first run of the season when he ran at Trials Day, and he clearly did. He finished third in the race last year behind Shishkin and Envoy Len. I just think that if he runs up to that kind of form again, he's definitely got an each way squeak here, around about 20-1, and even the Denman Chasers started to work out all right. You had Does He Know come from that race and win next time out at Doncaster, absolutely bolted up. Also, as well, Sam Brown going into that race had won the Veterans Final at Warwick. He didn't run too badly off the big weight next time out in a hot handicap at Kempton. I just think his form from last time out isn't that bad. And
Shishkin is going to win the Gold Cup on Friday.
Yeah, so there you go. If Hitman runs well here, it's another form boost for Shishkin. Crossing all the I's and dotting the T, or however they say that phrase. Just putting it all in place for Shishkin in the Gold Cup. I just think at 20-1, he's a big price, and even Fugitive as well. If the ground comes up really soft and testing, we know he loves it over the course and distance. I thought he was a little bit in the eye catcher the last day in the rearranged Clarence House. Probably found 2 miles too sharp, 2.5, and strongly run race where there's a lot of pace on him here. Probably would suit him. So I do think there's a few outsiders there that could definitely upset a few people, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them get involved. So I think the Ryanair is definitely lining up to be an intriguing race, especially if Banbridge doesn't run, because I think it's quite open. We're now going to talk about another open Grade 1. It's the Paddy Power Stairs Hurdle, and Teahupoo is your favourite at 2-1. We've then got Irish Point next in at 9-2, Cranber at 5-1, Noble Yates 9s. So Gerhard next in at 10-1, Flooring Porter at 12s, Monkfish 14s. Bigger are the rest. Izzy, I'll come to you here first. It's kind of, this race is, the market's revolving around the younger progressive horses, but we've seen this a few times over the last couple of years. Horses look like they're on an upward curve. It looks like it's their time to make a claim to this division, but they just never seem to go through with it. It's always the likes of Dashel Drasher, Cider Burley, Paisley Park, still holding up the flame for this division. Do we think the younger horses are finally going to get it this year?
I mean, potentially, because they have obviously been running quite well in their races against some of the older stars this season. But for me, I think, and this is not going to come as any surprise because I make no secret about the fact that I absolutely love Paisley Park. And I think at 16-1 for a horse that always runs his race and, is involved in so many close and flying finishes, as an each way chance, I think that's fantastic money. I think the value's there. Sorry, what was that noise?
That's all right. We can just carry on.
It's fine. I think Paisley Park for me represents the most value. I think he's shown he can go toe to toe with some of these younger horses with that finish against Cranbow Ascot. Obviously he was so unlucky to get beat by former Grand National winner Noble Yates last time out. I mean, he's probably the one that I reckon could be a big danger here, to be completely honest with you. Obviously, I know Fergal O'Brien will be going absolutely mad and hoping that Cranbow can bring him a Cheltenham Festival winner this year. So, there's a few in there that are obviously old favourites. And really, I suppose this is in some ways sentimental, but I would love to see Paisley Park win and retire. And regardless of whether he wins or not, I think he'll definitely place.
I think he's got a great chance of at least being there or thereabouts. If you actually look at his form this season, he's not beaten. The furthest he's been beaten by is a head.
Yeah.
So on this, I think like you can actually definitely make a case for him this season. It's not like just a heart selection. Like if you want to be a bit more cold and cynical on the old form and leave emotional attachment out of it, like I sometimes do. I think he's definitely got a squeak each way at 16-1. Like we said before, like you had Cider Burley win this at a big old price last year, and he's getting on a bit now, and he's even lining up in this year's renewal. So, like we said before, like these old boys, they're still hanging around, and it'd be great to see some of them being involved in the finish. I'm probably going to go with Paisley. I think I'll definitely have a save on him, and he'll be on my shortlist for the day. How about you, though, Katie?
I'm in complete agreement. I think he's got a great chance, and I don't think I've ever backed him before. So it's not a heart over head thing for me at all. It's just a head thing. I think he's got a brilliant chance. Like he's run 3 times this season, and as you say, he's been beaten a short distance every time. He was giving away £6 to Noble Yates the last time as well, and that's not easy to do. And I thought he was getting up on the line with another stride or two. He would have won. The noise around the place was amazing. I think we watched it together, Izzy, at Cheltenham. It was incredible, and I really would. Yeah, I'm all aboard with Paisley Park now. I'm in the fan club. It would be lovely to see him go out on a high. I think it'd be fantastic. And could be written in the stars after these near misses this season. Could this be his day? I think he's great value. And I think the drying ground will be key because he's a horse that likes to come from the back of the field. Coming late with a run, it's harder to do on softer ground. But I think good to soft or, just slightly worse, I think it will be fine for him. I think he's got a brilliant chance of at least making the frame, but I think he could win it. I will give a quick shout to Sir Gerhard. Probably has some stamina doubts, but there isn't really another race for him, so he has to come here. If it isn't too testing, I think he could run a big race because he's got a lot of class. And then I'll give a shout out to one of my favourite horses, Monkfish. I think we'll see him in the Gold Cup, but if he does line up here, it isn't really a race that I think will suit him. But at this stage in his career now, after so much time off track, I couldn't let him go off unbacked, and he'll definitely be my heart bet on the day if he does run there.
Yeah, I think Monkfish does have a good chance. I think you'd have a better chance definitely in here than the Gold Cup. We've not seen him obviously over fences for a while, and I thought his running the Gourmoy last time out showed that he still had plenty of zest for the game. And yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him run well. But I think Tupu is too short on what he did last year. I know he's got the freshness angle, and Gornella, even though he does have a fantastic record at the festival, I just think over the last couple of years, some of his hot pots haven't always come to deliver, wasn't it? Like the likes of Jerry Colum, Mighty Potter, both got touched off at short prices. I can't remember him the last pot he had, and it came up trumps. Maybe it was like Delta work or something cross country. But I mean, talking in a proper Grade 1, I don't know. I just think sometimes the good air horses sometimes we respect him a lot, obviously, but at the same time, they're not banking material, and this is certainly an open division this year. And good luck to you if you're going in at Tupu at 2-1. I think if he runs up to last year's form, he's got no chance. I think there's definitely a few in here that could. Even Home by Lee, I've heard a few people make the case for him after his unlucky run round last year. He could definitely throw his hat into the ring. And Dashel as well. We've got to mention him for Liz. Beat Paisley Park, placed in the race last year. Maybe hasn't been holding his form quite as well as Paisley this year, but we know he likes Cheltenham, and you can never rule him out at a big old price. That's for sure. He always runs his heart out. So that's our thoughts then on the Stairs Hurdle. Open it up now. See if we'd like anything else in some of the other races. Got some really intriguing handicaps on the card, and including the Mares Novice Hurdle as well. Izzy, I'll come to you here first. Is there anything else you like on the rest of the card?
If I'm completely honest, I think the Ryanair and the Stayers have taken quite a lot of my attention in terms of, where I've been the most interested on the Thursday. But I will just give one very small mention. I do like the look of Krabilly in the plate. I just think that, he should have won at Cheltenham in November when he fell. He was back at Exeter last month. So I think he could be. I think he's favourite for the race, but one that I do like. So
yeah, that form at Exeter last time out, Tamuris ran really well in the Pendle at Kempton a couple of weeks ago. So even though it's only a 3-runner race he won, if Trelawn goes in and runs well in the Ultima, definitely could get even short. I could see him maybe going off maybe 5-2. Reminds me a little bit of the Shunter, I think, that won this race. Yeah. A few years ago, that JP McManus Gamble just was backed off the boards and won a good thing on the day. And yeah, Krabilly definitely would have a favourites chance. How about you, Casey?
I quite like the look of Itchy Feet in the Patunks. He's 66-1. He was third in the Supreme once upon a time. He's a 10-year-old now. He is past his best. But he was less than 7 lengths behind the winner last year, finished in 11th place. They finished in a bit of a heap. I think the winner was about 3 lengths clear, so there was only about 4 lengths between the 2nd and the 11th on that day. They were really close margins between all of them. He's on a £2 higher mark than when he won at Market Racing in November. I just think he's going to maybe have a chance of running into the places once again. Better ground will suit him more than the softer ground last year. So I think if it is good to soft, on the better side of soft, I think he could have a good chance at a massive price. So fingers crossed he's declared. I will also give a quick shout to Sharjah if he runs in the play. I'm in agreement with you both with Krabili. I think he's going to be tough to beat. He looks in off a good mark. But Sharjah, if he does run here, I think 22-1 is a big price. He may be going for one of the novice chases and the grade ones, but just would be of interest if he is declared for this one.
Yeah, and I definitely could see him running well, definitely bringing a bit of class. And the Mares Novice Hurdle, a lot of people getting stuck into Bright Days Ahead, but I think it's a deep race. I think it's one of the races of the week. Jade de Grugy, you can make a case for Dysot Enos, but the one I like is Golden Ace. I'm going for a hat-trick in this race, and the British have won the last two renewals. You wear it well in November, so it's not always the Irish that come to the fore in this race. And I really like Golden Ace, the way she won Huntington on debut. Admittedly, she's getting a load of weight from the likes of Lucky Place, but he went on to finish second, close second behind Gidley Park. So there's good form there. She defied the penalty next time out over the course and distance, Egg and Spoon race, which she couldn't have won any more easily. She's definitely a horse that's on an upward curve. She's got a good bumper form from last year. And Jeremy Scott, they've talked about the Gordon Glint in his eye. Well, if you're a West Country follower of racing, Jeremy Scott definitely had the glint in his eye when talking about Golden Ace. So there's glints in other people's eyes other than Gordon Elliott. So definitely watch out for Golden Ace in the Mares Novice Hurdle. But so that rounds off then our day 3 preview. Hopefully we've found you some winners, and we've got one more to go, day 4. So stay tuned for that.